Hey guys, Nate here. I thought I would give you a little tutorial on what I do to clean my motors. Why do you need to clean motors? Well, this guy just actually had a bad crash into sand. Going around a playground. Fared very well. Minor scratches on some props, but you can see some of the propellers don't really move. I mean, it's this one here is stuck pretty much entirely. It does not move. There's so much sand in there that I don't want to try and move it too hard to break it. I do have one that moves pretty well, and this other one here moves pretty well, but you can still hear the sand in there. Very rough on that. So let's figure out what we got to do. The first thing I'm going to do is flip it over and remove these 4 screws to unmount the motor from the body. This will be used so that way we can take off the bell coming up next. Alright, so as we can see here, we've got the motor off. Here's the 4 screws that held it on. And the next thing we need to do is remove the bell here, which oh man, that's rough in there. And that's only held in by this little pin. Now these are Emax 2204 motors, 2300 kV. And these are held in by this little C-clip, or I guess they call it an E-clip. And so you just take that guy, and they have little holes in it. I just take a little flathead screwdriver and just pop it off. Now the next thing you need to be careful of is there's this little tiny spacer ring. It's usually like copper or something like that, or brass. And so just take that off, move that aside so you don't lose it. That one's hard to do, or hard to find. Alright, so now all you do is you just pull, and hopefully it comes off nicely. It may take a little bit of coercion here. There it goes. You're basically pulling the shaft and a bunch of magnets out from the bearings, the electric magnet, and more bearing on top and bottom. It's hard to see. Let's see, I don't know if you can see if we can zoom in a little bit here. So, bunch of sand and dirt and grime. Back up. Just nasty all in there. Here's my C-clip. It actually got attached. There it is. Here's my C-clip. Actually got attached to the magnet right there. So at least we didn't lose it. So let's go ahead and see what we got to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is just try and remove all the big material. In my case, here's my C-clip. Put it over here. No problem. So what I like to do is I like to take Q-tips. I'll take Q-tips and I'll dip them in water, and then I'll maybe dip them in a little bit of alcohol just so that there's no water sitting on any of these magnets and electronics. And I'll just wipe all the spots off. I'll take a can of air, get all the rocks that are stuck in between out, and let me go grab some of those and we'll get started with that. Alright, so you're going to need a lot of Q-tips, some paper towels, and I like to have some water. It's not really required, but I like it just to make sure I get a good clean in there. I start by just getting all the big gunk off. It's kind of hard to see how black that is, but little tiny dirt will come off. The hardest part is getting all the magnetic dirt. So dirt has iron in it, and the iron will really stick to these magnets. Rare earth magnets are very strong. So I just sit here and clean it up. I'm going to go ahead and clean up all this sand with Q-tips, waters, some more things to get any big pieces off, and you'll see what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so I got this guy pretty clean. I also use a can of air just to help spray all the stuff out. Like I was saying earlier though, most of your problems are actually going to be here on the bell. The reason why is that any sort of mud is going to have iron in it. Now the good news is this was play sand. Most play sand is just regular sand, doesn't have as much iron content, I find, as if you crash into an open space mud area. I've done into both, and I find that sand is way easier to clean. One of the things you can do to check, make sure your bearings are okay still, is just put your finger right on top. It should basically hit this ring and just give it a spin. Make sure you don't feel any weird notches. Do it on both of them here. Everything feels okay. The other thing you can do is stick your bell housing into just one end, just a little bit, and give it a spin. Spins very nice. So that bearing is great. Probably can't say the same for the upper bearing here. So we do the same thing. Don't put it in all the way, just a little bit. Give it a little spin. It feels pretty rough, actually. It doesn't spin for nearly as long. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to oil this up. Let me go grab some of that and I'll be right back. So when you're ready to put everything back together, you're going to need some of this bearing oil. I googled around a long time ago, and you can see I still have plenty left. So this is, what, a year and a half, 3 years worth of oil. Use a drop at a time per motor. This is Team Novak. I'll link to it in the description. Racing electronics. It's just meant for RC stuff. Made in the USA, quadruple filtered, all that cool stuff on Amazon. $10 or so, last you forever. And all you're going to do is you're just going to stick it and want it to fall right in between this lip here and let it work its way in. So what you can do is put this bell back in, just let it spin around, try and work its way in there. A little bit better. Still pretty rough, but these motors have been used hard and banged up, as you can see. I mean, these are my flying motors. These are not just pretty ones that, there we go, it's a little bit better. So when we put it all back together, we should feel and hear nothing in terms of rocks catching on there. Do that for each motor and you'll be all set. It just takes a while, takes some time. Put it back together, a couple zip ties, and you'll be all set. Again, thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.